This month we're going to learn a solo arrangement of Here Comes the Sun by the great George Harrison. To help decide on what next month's tutorial is, as well as to download the tabs to this one, feel free to check out my Patreon page, which is in the description below. Let's go ahead and dive in though. To start with this song, we're going to fret a G chord, which we'll use our index finger here on the 2nd fret of the C string, our ring finger here on the 3rd fret of the E, and our middle here on the 2nd fret of the A. Now, the first thing that we're going to be looking at is that we're using what's called 4-finger picking throughout this song, which means we want to have one finger stationed to each one of our strings. I like to have my thumb on the G string, index on the C, middle on the E, and ring on the A. An important note is to try to have the thumb a little bit in front because it'll help you get a good angle of attack as you strike each one of the strings. For more information on this picking technique, be sure and check out the workshop in the description below. Now, to go forward with this, we're going to start by playing our C and E strings together, then just our G string. Now, this next note, which is just the A string, the 2, has a little symbol with it that looks something like this, and that's an accent. You're going to see accents listed throughout the beginning of this song, and that's because the beginning of this song is just an instrumental with no words associated to it. Normally we use words to know what the melody is and know what to accentuate and to play louder, but because of the instrumental nature of the intro, we don't. So we use these accents to essentially illustrate what the melody is. So whenever you see one of those accent symbols, play the note just a little bit louder, and when you don't see an accent symbol, at least in the intro, try and play the note a little bit softer. So we just played the 2 on the A there, and then we're going to play open on the G, and then we're going to release our middle finger here, play open on the A, and then we're going to play 2 on the A with that middle finger. Then 0 on the G, and we're going to play that a little softer because it's not accented, followed by the 2 and the 3 on the C and the E. So that measure should sound something like this. Going into the next measure, we're going to play the 0 on the G, 2 on the C, 2 on the A. Notice how they're all within that chord. Then we're going to play open on the A, which will remove that middle finger. Then we're going to play open on the G. Then we'll play 2 and 3 on the C and E. Then we're going to play open on the G. Then we're going to take off these 2 fingers and play open on the C and the E. So that measure should sound something like. Now moving right along the next measure, this one may be the easiest measure in any tutorial we've ever done. Because all that we're going to do is let those 2 zeros continue to ring for the first part of the measure. That's what the parentheses means in the tab, is to not play them again, but let them continue to ring. And then we'll play open on the G, open on the A, open on the G, then open on the E. So that whole measure is pretty straightforward, right? Now as we play these, they all have accents, and remember, we've got 1 finger per string, so we want to make sure that the thumb's playing the G, index on the C, middle on the E, and ring on the A. Now the next measure is a little bit more difficult because what we're going to do here is we're going to play 2 on the C and the E strings together. I like to use my middle and my index and middle fingers here. Pluck the C and E. Then I'm going to remove those 2 fingers, pluck the C and E again. Place the fingers back on, play it again. Then I'm going to take these fingers off and play the open G and E strings with my thumb and middle finger on my playing hand. And then I'm going to add 2 back onto the E string and play that with the open A. Now I actually like to fret the 2 on the C string as well, just to get that vibration going of the other strings. So it sounds and looks something like this. Right? Even though that 2 is not required, I like to add it in there anyways. So one more time on that measure, it's. Now from here, we go to the next measure, which is very similar to the first measure, and By similar, I mean exactly the same. We're going to play that G chord, pluck the C and E strings, then the G string, the A string, still on 2, G string, open on the A, so we remove our middle finger here, add the middle finger back, 2 on the A, open G, then the C and E strings together. So that sounds like. Now the next measure is going to look very familiar because it's the same as the second measure. So we're still holding this G chord here. We're going to play the open G, then the 2 on the C, then the 2 on the A. We're going to release this middle finger here and play the open A, then the open G, and then the 2 and the 3 on the C and the E. Open G, and then we're going to remove those fingers to play the 2 open on the C and the E strings. So that measure is. Now the last sort of measure, it's really the last 2 measures here, we're going to be playing of the intro. So this is the last moments that we'll see some of those accents. So keep in mind, whenever you see an accent, you should play a little bit louder, and then moving forward, we'll use the words and the lyrics on the sheet to be able to find those melody notes. But right here, we're going to play the 2 and the 3 together. So building that G chord again, we're just released that G chord. We're playing the C chord all open. Then what we're going to do is just add the 2 on the A string. Then we're going to play open on the A. Then we're going to play open on the G. Then we're going to use our index and middle fingers and place them both on 2 of the C and the E strings. So that measure should sound something like this. And then you'll notice it rings through the entire next measure with that whole note. So that's the entire intro to the song. Again, the accents symbolize the melody. But one other quick note is if as you're working on that, your fingers felt like they're getting twisted at all, keep in mind that you don't have to take fingers off until you have to take them off, which sounds so silly. But what I mean is throughout the song, we're playing things like a G chord, and we'll take off just the A string to play an open on the A. We don't have to take these 2 fingers off. We just need to take that middle finger off. So as we're playing through this intro, it's really important to kind of think, okay, where do I need to take off my fingers? Where do I need to add them back on so that I'm not removing everything and placing it back on, but rather being more efficient. So let's go ahead and take a look at the melody now. Now we've got words to go with it to kind of tell us where the melody notes that should be embellished on and exemplified should be. So we'll start here with a G chord again, building it the same way we have been. Play the 2 on the C and the 3 on the E, and the open G. And now the first melody notes with words. We have here comes the, and that's 2 on the A, open on the A, 2 on the A. Notice how I leave my other 2 fingers intact, just remove that middle finger. Here comes the, and then we're going to play open G, and then 2 on the C and 3 on the E for the word sun. So the first measure should sound something like, here comes the sun. Now we go to the next measure, and we're going to keep this G chord going, play open on the G, 2 on the C, and then 2 on the A, open G, remove the middle finger here on the A string, play the open A, place it back for the 2, and open G, then then 2 on the C, which is currently fretted. So that measure is. And the words there are do, da, do, do. Moving forward, we're going to take off our hand completely, and we're going to play the open C and the open E strings together. And to follow with that, we're going to re-add our middle finger here on the 2nd fret of the A. We're going to play that for here. Then comes, we're going to take that note off. And we're going to place that note back on for the. And we're going to do an open G, and we're going to play for the word sun. We're going to add our index finger here on the 1st fret of the C string, and we're going to add the 3rd fret here on the E string. We're going to play those 2 together. So that measure sounds like. Moving into the next measure, we're going to leave these notes fretted. We're going to play the open G. Then we're going to unfret the ring finger, but leave the index finger where it is so that we can play the E string open, then the C string, with the 1 still there, and then the words "and I say," which will be open G, open A, and open G again. So that measure is "and I say." From here, we'll go back to the G chord that we've played before. So I'm going to fret the same way I've been playing G the whole song. Play the C and the E strings together. Then 2 on the A for its. Then take off the middle finger here for an open A, all. And then open G for right. And then 2 on the C. So it goes, that measure is Now this next part is my favorite part of the whole song. I just love this. That 2C at the end of this measure kind of starts it off. As we look at the next measure, we're actually going to remove our fingers from the ukulele from this. So we're going to play open on the E, open on the G, open on the A. And we're going to use our index finger and place it on the 2nd fret of the C string. Then open G, open A. Then remove that finger for open on the C and open on the G. And we're going to double this, so you'll see that we've got 2 measures listed here. We're going to play the open A, then reapply that 2 on the C string, then open G, then open A, then open G. Then we're going to add our middle finger here on 2 of the E string. We're going to play open on the E, taking that finger off. This index finger here on the 2C. So those 2 measures combined should sound something like this. Now it's really cool when it's done fast. That's where the magic really happens. So when you're practicing that line, just keep in mind a lot of open strings, a lot of opportunity for ringing, and you just want to make sure your fretting is very careful so that you're not touching any other string and getting kind of a buzz so that you can really let that line ring. Now as we go into the next measure here, still playing the G chord, we're going to play the 2 on the C and the 3 on the E together. And then you'll see there's a line written with this. And the reason is I actually like to use one of these fingers. I usually use the middle, but you can use the index finger if you'd like. And I'm going to strum the C, E, and A strings down using the nail to create a kind of sharper, brighter sound. So it starts with the C and the E plucked, and then strum through, and open G, then open A, so take off that middle finger, then place 2 back on the A string. And then we're going to take off the E string and play that open. So that measure is now there's 2 endings here. So the first ending is going to be the exact same thing we played earlier over this D sound, which is we're going to place these 2 fingers here on 2 of the C and 2 of the E. Pluck those, and then we're going to take them off, play open, place them back on 2, pluck them again. Then we're going to take them off for the open on the G and the E strings, and place them back on and play 2 on the E and 0 on the A. So the first ending is so from here you repeat back to the song and you go all the way back, not to the very beginning, but to where the beginning of the words are. So right prior to "Here Comes the Sun." And then you'll go all the way through again, "Here comes the sun, doo-da, doo-da. Here comes the sun, and I say, it's all right." And then you play that cool little, really fun line. God, I love that line so much. And now, instead of going to the first ending again, you will jump to the second ending. And at the second ending, what we're playing here, So we're going to play a D7, bar all the way across the 2nd fret with our index finger, add our middle finger here on 3 of the A, and we're going to pluck strum using all 4 fingers here. We're going to strike them twice. So we call this a pluck strum because we're essentially simulating strumming by plucking all 4 notes at the exact same time, simultaneously. We're going to do this twice. So that measure, as we go into the next measure, we're going to play 2 with our middle finger here on the C string, and we can use our index finger with our playing hand, keeping that 4-finger picking going, and index finger on our fretting hand on 1 of the E string, and then open on the A. So this measure sounds like. Now from here we're going to go sun, 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 here it comes. First thing we're going to do is play a B flat chord, which is a tricky chord for a lot of people. If you struggle getting a good tone over the B flat chord, the biggest trick is this finger right here, making sure it's right up against the fret, and even turning a little bit so that you can get right in there. If you're just straight flat and you try to go as close as you can, you might get a buzz. So if you tilt it a little bit and draw it up even more, that can really help. Playing that for sun, doing a pluck strum. And then we're going to play an F chord for sun. And then we're going to play a C. But what we're going to do here is we're going to play 3 on the E with the ring finger. That's sun. And we're going to remove that finger, play 0 on the E, 0 on the G. Then we're going to reapply a G chord, but we're only going to play the C and E strings to start. This is followed by some strumming. You'll notice it says down, down, up, down, with the symbol that's the little 3/4 of a box symbolizing a down strum and the little V symbolizing an up. So that measure should be comes, down, down, up, down. Now it repeats back to the D7 at this point. So we go back to this. We continue playing through sun, 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 hear it. So that's exactly what we just played, only now we go to the 2nd ending, and you'll notice it comes, just play the 2 on the C and 3 on the E, and then down strum on the G chord. And that's the whole song. So pretty cool because it's a song that uses a melody that's played, both by the guitar as well as sang by the vocalist. So it's a really sort of unique sound. I like to play with the song in double up sections and change sections just to make it my own. And in fact, one of my favorite arrangements of this song is done by Tommy Emmanuel, who's on my shirt. So go check out his video if you haven't already. He does a whole Beatles medley that's just spectacular. And so, again, if you want to download the tabs, please check out the Patreon page, as well as help vote on the next song. This tutorial was decided by members of the Patreon page, and it was a suggestion by one of them, and it was the one that was voted on for this month. So if you want to help decide whatever next month's song should and could be, please head over there and let me know what you want to work on. So hope you guys are having a wonderful start to your summer. I'll see you next month on the next episode of these song tutorials. Thanks so much.